Hello and welcome to Experts Corner here at Pakistan TV. My name is Naila, Shuja. Now today we're talking to two very informed and respectable individuals who will be providing us insight on something that is very prevalent and very important for the Pakistani economy. That is our Prime Minister, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, has been invited to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at the invitation of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for the Future Investment Initiative that is taking place at the moment. Recently, just now, he was speaking at the Is Humanity Heading in the Right Direction Round Talk conference that we just saw conclude. And we discussed matters, rather we had him discuss matters of the tax collection mechanisms which have been digitized. He spoke about how Pakistan is rich in resources. Furthermore, that Pakistan is amongst the top 10 countries which has been exposed to climate change at a very intense rate. Now, furthermore, he spoke about the synergy between global north and south, which is vital for the development of the AI programming. Now, as we know that this future investment initiative is absolutely imperative, and for that we are joined by our wonderful guest for the evening, Mr. Qaiser Ahmed Sheikh, Federal Minister for the Board of Investment. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here at Pakistan Television. Now, again, it is absolutely imperative to understand that we have another analyst with us who is Mr. Farrukh K.Pitafi. Farrukh K.Pitafi has been a senior journalist here at Pakistan Television, and he will also be providing us insight on this prevalent situation at hand. Now, let's get to the crux of this. Mr. Sheikh, we know that bringing together business, government and technology in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under this initiative is absolutely imperative. But there is one thing that I would like to start off by discussing. 200 megawatt has been allotted by the government of Pakistan in the phase 1 to various data centers, to crypto mining and AI infrastructure to promote the development of AI. That being said, at the FII9 summit, how do we feel that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's capital will be invited to partner with Pakistan's growing AI ecosystem?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Naila, you have asked a very pertinent question. You see this conference in Saudi Arabia, that is mainly for the investment, and that is very important because already we have strategic relations with Saudi Arabia, and there has been a recently defense pact with them. And a lot of investment has been promised from our brotherly country, Saudi Arabia. And as we have, as you mentioned, we have excess energy available. So that energy, I think, we can use in some AI matters and some also crypto currencies and all that. So that is very substantial achievement. And my point is that foreign direct investment is the only, rather one of the main source in which we can alleviate poverty. You see, in Pakistan, there are more than 40% of the people are below poverty line. So if new technology comes, because Pakistani people, of course, Pakistani businessmen, I myself am a private businessman, but we have not sufficient capital to install huge industries. And those value added and capital intensive industries, it is very difficult to establish that. And throughout the world, you must have noticed that anywhere there is a progress that has been with the foreign direct investment. Like the countries, I have been traveling many times there, like China, Vietnam, Thailand, South Korea, Bangladesh, India. All these countries, what they did, because their market was there, so they invited foreign direct investors, and they invested in technology, and then they invested in capital. So that is now the emphasis of Pakistan. There was a time that we used to only concentrate on loans, that we had to fulfill our deficit of the budget with having more and more loans. Still, we are taking loans, but you see now our emphasis is that investment, we are promoting our country, and there is a ample potential here. As a businessman, Myself, I have been a president from Chamber of Commerce Industry, and I know that Pakistan, there's a huge opportunities. The bottom line of profit in Pakistan is significant. Even nowadays, you see our own stock exchange in last 2 years is rated as #1 in the world. So that Prime Minister is making full effort. This is another the guidance and another the leadership of the Prime Minister, because he is emphasizing on that. He is not emphasizing on the aid. Even this flood, we had a lot of flood here in Pakistan, but we never asked for, we feel that we should have our own resources to develop.
Absolutely.
So that is, we are inviting a direct foreign investment, and this Saudi Arabia visit is one of, already we have contacts with Saudi Arabia. Even our Field Marshal Asam Munir was with him, and both of them collectively have convinced these countries, the Muslim countries. You see that recently the visit was there in Egypt also by the Field Marshal. So we are convincing our brotherly neighboring countries that more and more cooperation between the countries can develop, from both of them. You see, we have a very strong army and forces, and if there is any attack on Saudi Arabia, we have made a contract, as you know very well, that it will be considered an attack in Pakistan. And if there is any attack or aggression against Pakistan, it will be considered aggression against Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely.
So we have a regular touch with Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely. It is a brotherly country for sure, and has provided great support to Pakistan, and Pakistan will always stand by Saudi Arabia. That's a given. But, you know, coming back to the information technology exports, that's something that I want to understand a little bit more. We've exported around $3.17 billion worth of IT exports, and that's something that I want to ask upon, relating it to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. How can Saudi investors basically help unlock the big brain powered ideas that the youth bulge of Pakistan has for the development and progress and prosperity of Pakistan? So how can we utilize the investors and the capital that would be coming in from Saudi Arabia for this specific purpose?
Yeah, this is very important. You see, Saudi Arabia has rich reserves. They have a huge oil potential assets with them. So in Pakistan, we are world #5 populated country.
Yes.
And our youth, 60% of our youth is consisting from 15 years to 35 years. And that youth we are training and we are educating. I myself, had been board of directors, board of governors of FAST National University, which is the best IT university in Pakistan. And I feel that any student who admits in that institution, then his family is out of poverty. So your question that how, you see, this is there should be more and more institutions like that, which should give technical education, IT education, and AI, the latest technologies. So that is important for Pakistan. And our students can go abroad.
Absolutely.
And they can also serve their economies.
Absolutely. That's actually a very interesting point. Mr. Pitafi, that's something I want to switch over to you. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. And next, basically, you know, we have this magnanimous youth bulge here in Pakistan. As the federal minister said regarding education, more institutions should be established. Do we feel that maybe we can have Saudi investors invest in more educational institutes in Pakistan for not just the development and prosperity of Pakistani students and academia, but also for the betterment of the global economy?
Right. Thank you very much, Naila, for your question. I think to answer that, there's a very simple answer, and that is sky is the limit. Of course, there is demographic dividend that Sheikh Saab actually spoke about. That is very important. Then there's also these linkages with various institutions that are important. But if you allow me, because we get Qaiser Sheikh Saab very occasionally, so I'm going to actually, with your permission, ask a question. Because just before this program, this event, there was a statement that was put out by the Foreign Ministry of Saudi Arabia, which actually spoke about a proper framework for investment and economic cooperation. And there are areas which are very important that need to be actually highlighted. Priority areas include energy, industry, mining, information technology, tourism, agriculture, and food security. Now, my question to Qaiser Sheikh Saab is that when it comes to various opportunities, we have seen talk of energy being very expensive in Pakistan. You're right to actually point out that the government has created a special niche for electricity regarding IT. But is there a possibility that through these frameworks we can ensure that any investor that comes to Pakistan gets the maximum benefit or concessions that are needed for the economy to grow?
Ji, Pitafi Saab, your question is very pertinent because this is the main hurdle in Pakistan, that our energy price is much higher than our regional countries with whom we are competing. Now, there is one option. There was a solar system that has been much enhanced in Pakistan. And then again, you see that the energy problem will, we are trying, our government is trying our best, but still we have recently given a scheme, you may be knowing about it, that any factory or industry who uses more than his demand of the last year, who increases demand, that energy cost for that additional quantity will be almost half. So that is an incentive for the more production, increase in production. But still you are right, our main problem when I go to the chamber, and I recently went to Lahore Chamber of Commerce and Industry, had a threadbare discussion with their many people of various industries. So that hurdle is there. The energy price is definitely a hurdle, and there were for not many direct investment is coming to Pakistan, but we are making a lot of effort. Apart from energy, there is a problem of this financing, that is a higher rate of interest. That also should be a little come to at least a single digit, and the things are improving. But what we are doing in Board of Investment, there is a very pertinent incentive for the investment. What we do in our state special investment zones, we have given almost we have taken permission from IMF, and they have given 10 years full amnesty for the income tax. That is one major hurdle in Pakistan. Presently, corporate tax and income tax is much higher in Pakistan, but for the next 10 years, in all those SIZs, special investment zones, there is zero income tax. And then we are giving in, it will take some time, but in Karachi, near that steel mill land, there is a 6,000 acre of land, and because people don't people hesitate to come to industry because the land is expensive, but we have decided that the land should be developed, given to the developers freely, without any cost. And then when they develop, instead of selling that cost, that land, they can give it on rent basis, on yearly charges that they can have. So moreover, you must have seen that we have recently introduced a facilitation center in which we are really making one window of course, it has been one shop word has been many times narrated in Pakistan, but actually it was not practical. In this facilitation center, which I think there should more publicity is to be made, we have fixed all ministries representatives there. The representatives, all ministries are there. Anyone who approaches, any investor who approaches that center, he can get immediately relief, whatever problems he is getting from that one center. And that the representatives of all those ministries are there. So they help him there. There are, you are very right, there has been some law and order problem in Pakistan. There has been a rate of electricity which is higher. There is a rate of loan or funds which is higher. But these things we are taking care of. And because we are in the IMF program, there are some restrictions, but also with IMF program, we have achieved good results, as you know very well. And I feel that recently there has been more and more attraction in investment in Pakistan. Last week I was in World Investment Conference at Sharjah. I was invited there, and Pakistan has been elected there as a regional South Asia Regional Director General. This is the first time Pakistan has been given this distinction, and all those countries, I made discussions with many countries coming there. There were and the entrepreneurs. So the recent interest in Pakistan is much better. Yeah. Of course, hurdles are there. Still, our local investors also feeling some pinch. And I mentioned to you that because I come from the private sector, I had recently visited all chambers. All chambers invite me when there is a new election of the president. They invite me because I am their colleague. So I had been to Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and Lahore Chamber of Commerce, and now I have to go to Karachi Chamber. The problems are there. The local investors also having hurdles, but things are improving, and very fast improvement. You must have seen the stock exchange, the results of stock exchange, the bottom line. You see one of the best market in the world, and also all world rating companies, 3 rating companies, major rating companies, they have given a positive rating to Pakistan. Absolutely. And again, worldwide, after this 4 days war with India, Pakistan has emerged as a strong country. So some investors who are feeling there are some internal matters in Pakistan and there is a conflict between us, so we are trying to improve those that situation also.
Absolutely. You know, Mr. Sheikh, there is an understanding that I would like to really comprehend with your expertise as the Federal Minister for the Board of Investment. You know, we've seen that Pakistan has been able to establish its, you know, ties when it comes, or linkages when it comes to CPEC, Middle East and Central Asia. But, you know, regarding a roadmap which could be under discussion to basically integrate elements of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's capital into CPEC's industrial and logistics, basically creating a potential, you know, a way of Gulf, Pakistan, China trade access under the vision of 2030. Mr. Pitafi, I'd also like your input on this, if you may. Yes, Mr. Sheikh, please.
Right. Regarding intake. Okay. Carry on.
Yes, please. Yes, Mr. Sheikh, please.
Yes, you see the CPEC 2, which you mentioned about it. This is giving access to the neighboring countries, and because there has been a problem in Afghanistan, we also, all these countries collectively are trying their best to have a law and order situation improved in Afghanistan. So you see the Central Asian, Pakistan has the ports which is the only way to Central Asian countries, that is by sea. And China is now connecting all these countries, and even today I learned that Bangladesh also, Pakistan offered to Bangladesh that KPT, Karachi Port Trust. So this linkages between these countries will enhance trade. We are trying to have very soon this train for up to Istanbul, Islamabad, then Tehran and Istanbul for the freight. So these are the benefits of regional trade and connectivity, which CPEC 2 is giving much incentives in this.
Absolutely.
And you see, Pakistan is the fifth largest populated country, and we have young population. And I have, as you mentioned, our IT export is being enhanced. And I know myself, because I myself seeing that fast national university since last 32 years. I am board of governor member.
Yes.
So I am seeing that how our youngsters are improving in IT and this technology, and they are the asset, and our remittance are increasing. You see, it is $38 billion remittance per year is now. It is much as compared to even our neighboring countries. If you see percentage wise, so it is improving. So, and things are better, but still you see what we did, we should definitely adhere to IMF program. There are difficulties. We have a lot of taxes, corporate taxes and all those. And I mentioned to you that in our SIV, there is zero income tax. It is very attractive to have more investment, but at least we should convince. Up to now, we could not convince our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors there in other countries. But even Pakistan own investment. There is some investment Pakistani made in real estate in UAE. I was recently there, and I met the Federal Minister of Investment there in UAE last week. And you see, similarly, if UAE can attract $40 billion or plus, more, so our direct foreign investment is a meager 2.5 or $3 billion. So we are trying our best. I assure you, being in my tenure, but I am seeing that world is now giving more attention to it. And after this 4 days war, Pakistan has emerged as a strong country. And definitely, I think that more and more technology, foreign investment, and all these, and Kataviza mentioned that the areas, that a number of areas like minerals, like agriculture, like IT in this scope. And you see, Saudi Arabia is interested in having a refinery at Gwadar. So that is a huge investment, $2 billion of investment.
Very well
said. So things are, even Qatar recently announced they will make investment in Pakistan. So things are moving fast, but it is taking time. But I'm sure that because we have to alleviate poverty. 40% of our population is below poverty, and only this is the source. Because those people, you see, our own companies don't have enough capital for the higher type of technology, or the industries which need more and more capital. So we are getting benefit from our Chinese friends, from our Saudis, and recently you must have seen that many countries are taking interest in Pakistan.
Absolutely. Yes,
US also very interested in now in.
Yes, that's for sure. Very interested. Mr. Pitafi, just yes, please, quickly.
Right. You're asking for a question or a comment regarding
this? Maybe we can have a little bit of both.
Yeah. So regarding what you asked, actually, Pakistan has to actually, thank its lucky stars for the right choices that we have made. Remember that three of the closest allies that the country has, China, America, Saudi Arabia. When Pakistan aligned with them at that time, things were not that much looking up, right? There was a Cold War, and who knew which side is going to win, but we stood with America. Similarly, China actually had started its journey, but it hadn't actually taken off that much as it has now. And Saudi Arabia was still finding its path. But our good fortune that we sided with absolute winners, and they keep on actually growing, which is incredible. And again, our good luck is that the current leadership in the US, in Saudi Arabia, particularly Crown Prince MBS, who is also the Prime Minister, with that kind of leadership, Pakistan can really soar. And then, fortunately, and this excites me a lot because the current government, especially the Prime Minister, good people like Qaiser Sheikh Saab, they are there. So, homework is being done, and which is incredible. So, we should be thanking our lucky stars that we got the best of the best deals possible. Now, regarding the areas that Qaiser Sheikh Saab was talking about, that we have actually improved upon. Of course, there's SIFC, which has played a very crucial role, and then the government has itself directly also tried to reform. But Qaiser Sheikh Saab, one aspect that is important is regarding repatriation of revenue. That was a concern earlier. I understand that that issue has now been resolved for any FDI, for any foreign investor. Could you just explain that also to our viewers? Because many investors had this concern that they found it difficult to repatriate their revenue, their profit to their home countries.
I always get benefit from the talk Mr. Pitafi have. You see, he discussed very important item for repatriation. You see, in the COVID days, there was a problem. Pakistan was feeling pinch, and there was a default circumstances. And at that time, we were not under the IMF program.
Absolutely.
So we had to control that at that time. But now, Mr. Pitafi, you must be knowing about it, that more repatriations are being repatriated as compared to the investment in Pakistan. The recent figures this year is 2.75 billion, I think, and investment in Pakistan is 2.5. So now our investors are freely, and we checked from the meeting when we had meeting with SIFC and State Bank of Pakistan. So they assured us that now all the profits of the foreign investors are free to repatriate if they like. And this is a good idea. We are giving confidence to the foreign direct investors. And of course, there has been still problems. It is not an ideal situation. You see, Pakistan is under IMF program, and we cannot do all the things which we require.
Absolutely.
But I feel that IMF has controlled, and they have given stability to the economic conditions.
Absolutely, very well said. And again, what a learning experience it has been to gain from your wonderful insights, Mr. Qaiser. Ahmed Sheikh, the Federal Minister for the Board of Investment, and Mr. Farrukh K.Pitafi, Senior Analyst here. Again, we're going to take a short break, but again, I would just like to say, stay tuned to Pakistan TV. Welcome back to Experts Corner here on Pakistan TV. We were previously joined by the Federal Minister for the Board of Investment, and now we are moving on towards our second segment, which is regarding climate change. And now, viewers, I would like to mention this. Climate change is prevailing, and it is happening right in front of our eyes. Floods, droughts, landslides, wildfires. It's absolutely insane, and this is something that is a huge issue, not just for Pakistan, but the entire world itself. We're seeing mass migrations, a great deal of load being put on the cities of Pakistan as well, major cities, metropolitan cities of Pakistan. And we've seen that humanity basically, in a way, has failed to limit the global heating to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and we must change our course. Now, that is actually something Antonio Guterres, the UN chief, said. We're going to take a quick look at what he said exactly. Let's watch.
The truth is that we have failed to avoid an overshooting above 1.5 degrees in the next few years. Countries are presenting their national determined contributions. From those received until now, there is an expectation of a reduction of emissions of 10%. We would need 60%. So overshooting is now inevitable. And so it is absolutely indispensable to change course in order to make sure that that overshooting is as small as possible. And this is a basic condition to avoid tipping points.
Absolutely. Climate change is prevailing. Now, it is absolutely imperative that we understand that it is alarming how 62 of 197 nations have sent in their climate action plans, and many nations are currently providing undercurrently of their national determined contribution as well. Now, for more on this, we're joined by Maryam, Shabbir, who is a climate change expert, as well as our in-house analyst, who is none other than Mr. Farrukh K.Pitafi. Thank you so much for speaking to us here at Experts Corner, Maryam. Now, for more on this, let's just dive right in. What is going to happen? Again, 1.5 degrees Celsius is a very drastic jump. How is this going to be looking for the next unforeseeable future, let alone the year coming up?
Well, if that's referred to me, I can respond. Actually, this 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature, that was the target set in 2015 when Paris Agreement was signed. And in the past 10 years, the emissions, the carbon dioxide emissions and greenhouse gases are so much in the atmosphere that it has like increased the temperature, and there is a risk that soon we will surpass this 1.5 degree increase in temperature, which nations were trying to limit it through emissions reductions. Now, what does that mean? That means by 2035 in next NDC plan, all the countries need to reduce drastic carbon dioxide emissions and greenhouse gas emissions so that the world is not warm enough. You know, we already seen a lot of extreme temperature events throughout the world. We see forest fires because of these increased in temperatures, recurrent flooding, glaciers melting, and it's not only going to bring economic and non-economic losses that we see, you know, within Pakistan and outside Pakistan in different countries as well. It's going to bring a lot of other pandemics as well. For example, there are researches in the world that in glaciers, you know, there are like harmful viruses, you know, stored in that. And once those are exposed and once those glaciers will melt, it can bring a lot of like diseases. So we really need to be careful. And, you know, as you mentioned that, you know, 62 countries have submitted the NDCs so far. And that means 136 and over 135 countries still need to submit, and they have time until COP, which is like literally 2 weeks away from now on, to submit their NDCs. But that's kind of a guiding document, reduce emissions. But we also need to understand that what countries are committing in that, you know. US has commit like 61 to 66%, and Canada, on the contrary, has committed very less, around 25 to 30%, which is like way too less to commit for a developed world, which is like, you know, which is at a tipping point, like the UN Secretary General said. And by 2035, we need to reduce 18.9 gigatons of equivalent carbon dioxide, you know. What does that mean? That means if countries do not set emission targets now drastically, then we will reach to 2 degrees Celsius increase in overall temperature, and that is going to bring a havoc throughout the world. And Pakistan is, of course, very, very vulnerable to those climate change impacts already.
Absolutely. Mr. Pitafi, would you like to add something to this?
Right. Thank you very much for the question again. I think that while we keep on talking about the importance of this climate, change and the kind of debilitating, problems or monsters it is going to unleash, sadly, the world's attitude seems to be different right now, because as you were talking earlier about AI, all over the world, because there's an AI race. Because of that, there's a chance that there's going to be more contribution to carbon emissions. There's a chance that more electricity will be produced. So while it is important for the UN to talk about the importance of what needs to be done.
But yes, Maryam, you know, it is absolutely devastating to witness our own planet, the only planet that we have, lose its life. How are we seeing the plantation of trees, the deforestation? I mean, is there any way that we can plant enough trees within this given time frame to lower the temperature? Is there any way, what are the ways basically that maybe we can get the situation under control, or has the situation exacerbated?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think there are a lot of ways to achieve this target of reducing, carbon dioxide emissions and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And first and foremost is, of course, by setting the target by each countries to reduce emissions and shifting to renewables. You know, that's very, very important. And shifting to renewables by developed world is very, very easy, but for developing countries and global south countries like Pakistan and in the region, other countries, we need funding. That's why when Pakistan committed in the NDCs 3.0, 50% reduction, there is a big chunk which is dependent on, money. So through technology transfer in the industry, emissions can be reduced. Also through urban planning, because urban heat island impact is very, very, very greater impact that leads to urban flooding and heat waves and many other, crises in urban settings. So urban planning is very, very important. Vertical housing to contain population, but also population control throughout the world, and green infrastructure from gray to green, of course. And plantation is a very cheap, way of addressing this issue. And of course, these indigenous plants play very, very important role, and those are kind of carbon sinks. For example, in Sindh, mangrove forests are big carbon sink, which is reducing. But indigenous trees in any region of the world, that's very, very important, because it not only regulates your temperature at local level, but also absorbs carbon dioxide emissions. But also we need to see the other sectors, for example, investing in sustainable transportation, then addressing the issue of waste management, especially in developing countries, because burning of waste contributes to a lot of emissions. Having
Absolutely.
check and balance on vehicular emissions, and working on the engines, because that contribute to bad air quality, but also that contributes to smog issue in developing countries, but also in developed world as well, in many, many bigger cities. So there are lots of ways through technology transfer, knowledge sharing, investing in renewables, moving away, phasing out of fossil fuel emissions. That, those are some of the ways. But also it's very, very important to include indigenous knowledge and local knowledge, because right now, in the past, if you look at the 10 years of data throughout the world, what is missing is incorporating indigenous and local communities into action. And that's why the nations are failing to address climate change crisis, because those are, local custodians of, not only forest or nature, and they live in harmony with nature. So bringing them on board is also very, very important to address this issue.
Absolutely, very well said, Maryam. Mr. Pitafi, just a quick wrap up of, what your take is on climate change, and maybe what steps we can take to kind of mediate this issue within Pakistan as well.
Right. Thank you very much, Naila. I think, as I was saying earlier, I'm not very hopeful when it comes to a collective action by the world itself. But given that Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change, we have to actually put our own house in order. And that's why it is very important that the commitments that we made between the two floods, 2022 and this year's floods, between these two, we have made many pledges to our own people. We fulfilled them. We ensure that the drainage system of the country is better. Whenever we are expanding new projects, it is important that we keep on focusing on renewable sources of energy rather than just investing more in carbon-based, energy sources. Similarly, when it comes to deforestation, we have to take care of the matters there as well. Of course, for the world, especially when it comes to the climate change, the way the world has been reacting to this, and the response has been really tepid. It hasn't been that great. There is a need for a very aggressive diplomacy, advocacy. Let us hope in coming days we see that leadership being shown by the UN, by various major countries. Pakistan can, of course, chip in and add its own 2 cents to the effort. But Pakistan is a country
Absolutely.
which isn't.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Pitafi. Now, just Maryam, just understanding the situation at hand, like, what is the message that you would like to disseminate to not just Pakistanis, but the entire global community itself when it comes to climate change?
Yeah, I think this is high time before Conference of Paris 30 is that the developed world, the global north, pays to the funds for the global south, because that's the promise they did, 30 years ago in 2001, in 2015 in Paris Agreement, and in 2023 in Dubai when they signed loss and damage fund, but the framework is still missing. So the developing countries are constantly at receiving end when it comes to the impacts of climate change. So now is the time for developed world to do something about it and do not break our trust this time, because in the line of climate justice, we are waiting for the funds and for the damages they have caused for us to really do something about our communities, because our economies and people are suffering again and again because of that. And we need technology transfer, we need knowledge funds, we need funds for human resources to implement our environmental policies and climate change policies in Pakistan.
Absolutely.
But
Thank you
also we
so
need
much,
clean air
Maryam.
technology.
Absolutely. Very well said, Maryam. Thank you so much for speaking to Experts Corner here at Pakistan TV. Again, I would like to thank Farrukh K.Pitafi for joining us and providing his expert analysis on the 2 points at hand. Viewers, that actually concludes the show for today here at Pakistan TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. Allah Hafiz.